last email is, the subject line is alternative careers in law. Q1. Okay, question 1. I've been studying for 3 to 5 years, but I'm not making LSAT progress. How do I know whether to quit?
This is a question that we get a lot, and it's a really hard question to answer. I don't want to crush people's dreams, but there are some people for whom the LSAT after 3 to 5 years of diligent studying is still just a complete mystery. And I'm sure you've had this experience, Ben, where you've got students that you really like, but it's just not happening for them. And they keep grinding and grinding and grinding and get really frustrated. And then they ask you that question of, how do I know when to quit? So I was talking to the teachers on our Slack channel, and this very helpfully came up from Katie. Basically, it's just a list of alternative careers where you can still practice in the law, but not as an LSAT, JD, bar accreditation, lawyer adjacent, doing law shit, working with the kind of people that you might want to work with, making, frankly, the kind of money that many lawyers make. So anyway, I thought this was a really helpful list from Katie, but you want to keep reading her email?
Yeah, but before I read it, I just wanted to say really quick how I'd answer this question. How do I know whether to quit? I would say, 1, are you using the right approach to the LSAT, right? If you're using the wrong approach, that may be what's holding you back. 2, are you studying enough? I would hate for people who study like an hour here and there, once or twice a week.
Off and on, like our last email said, off and on.
Yeah.
Whenever people say off and on, I'm like, oh, really? How much of that was off?
Yeah. If you don't study enough, like we're always telling people to slow it down, do 1 to 2 hours a day, don't do more than that. But if you don't do enough, you have the same problem. You're not going to see progress. And so it's going to, like, what's the point of doing any? Like it's going to be demoralizing, right? People have to see that progress to get that dopamine kick to keep going. And that means you got to do enough work to see that progress.
Yep.
And then I would say that sometimes even when you have the right approach, sometimes you're still not understanding how to implement it. And so maybe you got to work with a tutor for even just a couple hours to make sure you're heading in the right direction and really get what you're supposed to be doing. And then you try to put that into practice for a few months. And if you're still not seeing progress, then maybe really this isn't the right path for you. But there are other things that could be preventing you from making progress.
Okay.
Katie says, hey, Nathan, the conversation on the Slack channel about students who may be barking up the wrong tree when it comes to law school got me thinking about alternative careers in law. Okay. I've listed out 4 options below, and these are just the ones that I know of. There are underexplored options, especially for anyone interested in public interest, as they may offer a cheaper path to an equally fulfilling career. This might be an interesting podcast topic. This is what you're just talking about. Number 1. DOJ accredited representative in immigration. The Department of Justice runs a limited licensure program that allows non-attorneys to represent people in their immigration proceedings as long as they work for an approved nonprofit organization and demonstrate proper training and good character. Partially accredited representatives can represent people in affirmative proceedings like visa applications, affirmative asylum claims, and family-based petitions. Fully accredited representatives can also represent people in court, defending them against deportation. Many organizations treat and pay their DOJ accredited representatives the same as their staff attorneys. Many immigration nonprofit job postings are actually titled staff attorney or DOJ accredited representative. This doesn't require a law degree, and so on. So she gives us 3 examples. So here's a job posting, for example, that says immigration attorney or DOJ accredited representative. Yeah, I'd never heard of that before.
Yeah, neither had I. And for many people who are studying immigration, you know, they're like interested in becoming an immigration lawyer, and you know, think they want to do exactly this kind of work. Well, the fact that there's a path here where you can do the kind of work helping the people you want to help without the LSAT, without 3 years worth of a JD, without the bar exam, which is a major hurdle in certain places like California. If you can actually get started doing all of this work now, if that sounds like the kind of work you want to do, asylum claims, family-based petitions, defending against deportation, you think you want to work in nonprofit doing this kind of work, I would for sure go down this path before I went down the JD path anyway. Because this is going to be super, I mean, I'm not saying it's going to be super easy to do, but it's going to be a hell of a lot easier than getting into law school, getting a 3-year JD, and then passing the bar. I mean, you have to do so much crazy shit. Do you think that people, like the people who want to do this kind of work, do they give one shit about wills and trusts? Do they give one shit about contracts and corporations?
Yeah.
And you know, all the other crazy hoops they're going to make you jump through in law school. And instead you could get to work. So we have a link here from idealist.org for an immigration attorney or a DOJ accredited rep. We have another link from, this is at cliniclegal.org. I don't know, Department of Justice accredited representative. We have another link here from lensa.com listing a salary, by the way, in Chicago of $50,000 to $55,000 a year. DOJ accredited representative, job posting. And I imagine that these are just the ones that Katie dug up in 10 minutes of writing this email. We'll have links to all of this stuff on the website, thinkinglsat.com. Just look at today's episode. By the way, it's episode 274. If you want to see these notes. But I mean, simultaneously, Ben, I'm on Twitter the other day, and I see someone called Legally Bitchy tweet, the salary range that this employer is offering for an attorney position. Wow. And the job posting is from Lafayette, Louisiana. Associate attorney is the title. Salary, $26,000 to $30,000 a year. I mean, it's in Louisiana, you know, like everything's just like super dirt cheap in the South, but including salaries. But yeah, I mean, can you imagine going to law school for 3 years, like master the LSAT, get admitted to law school, go to law school for 3 years.
Oh my gosh.
God forbid, pay tuition. Hopefully get a scholarship to law school, because boy, you can't afford to pay any tuition if you're going to come out and make $26,000 to $30,000 a year salary as a practicing attorney.
Is the South?
It is significantly cheaper, but it's, yeah, I mean, the problem with cheap places to live is that the salaries are also nothing.
I mean, that is nothing. Wow.
Yeah, that's in Lafayette. But point is, you know, you could go to law school for 3 years and still make $30,000 salary. You could go to law school for 0 years and get one of these jobs and probably make more than that. Anyway, want to move on to this next option? There's 4 of these, by the way. That was DOJ accredited representative in immigration. So here's another one.
Her second recommendation is court navigators, which is a civil example. For students interested in civil litigation, many jurisdictions run court navigator programs to promote access to justice for folks who can't afford an attorney. Court navigators help people find the courtroom, access social services, and complete paperwork. Navigators can work on issues like family law, housing, debt collection, and domestic abuse. These can be volunteer positions or full-time jobs. Being a navigator doesn't require a law degree. And then her example is a housing court navigator with a salary of $50,000. And and that's in Boston.
That's amazing. I mean, and then there's other, so what that means is that there's also other volunteer positions. Again, a great way to change your life. You know, if you're not happy with your current job, why don't you pick up a volunteer position doing as a court navigator in your jurisdiction? Start getting practical experience right away. Find out what it really is like inside the courts.
Mm-hmm.
And then potentially get a paid job as a court navigator.
Yeah. Does this motivate you or demotivate you? If it's not exciting, then it's probably not the kind of career you want to pursue.
But that's a $50,000 a year job in Metro Boston. And now, of course, Boston is expensive, but 50 grand is a lot more money than most, I would say, of our students are making at their current job that they hate. And this is a way that you could already start working legal. I mean, that's not adjacent to the law, that's inside the damn court.
Yeah.
And make 50 grand doing it without a JD. All right.
All right. Her third recommendation is an investigator or mitigation specialist. This is in criminal law. For students interested in criminal law, being an investigator or mitigation specialist might be a good option. Investigators can work for both defense attorneys or prosecutors. Mitigation specialists usually work for defense attorneys. They try to develop relationships with clients to help identify mitigating factors that the defense can use. Mitigation specialists usually work on high-level felonies and capital cases. The federal public defender offices are often hiring for both investigator and mitigation specialist positions. Neither of these jobs require a law degree. Examples: we have one in Virginia here for mitigation specialist. We have a capital habeas investigator. This is in, I don't know where that is. Legal assistant investigator for the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights. A gang investigator for a district attorney. The salary here is $2,100 to $2,500 every 2 weeks.
That's for that gang investigator one for the DA.
Yeah.
And so that's in Fort Bend County, Texas. That second one, the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights one. Sorry, no, the second one, the capital habeas investigator, that one was in Tampa. So we got, there's these jobs are all over the place, paid jobs, no law degree, potentially helping exactly the type of people that you want to help.
Yeah,
you know, whether you want to be on the prosecution side or the defense side, whether you want to be, or whether you want to just be doing civil stuff. There's all these different jobs that you could get that I mean, I had no idea these jobs existed, which means that our listening audience and our students clearly have, I mean, some people of course know about some of these jobs, but most of our people have no idea that any of these things are even options for them. Right. It's just like, you have to go to law school and be a lawyer with a capital L, or not be able to do any of this kind of work. But that's just not true. You can do all kinds of work without the JD.
Yeah. All right. This fourth one, this is interesting because I feel like we've read multiple personal statements along these lines.
Yeah.
It's a legal interpreter. For anyone who speaks a foreign language, being a legal interpreter or a court interpreter is a great job. I did this for 2 years. It's not the same as practicing law, obviously, but it's amazing to help somebody communicate with their attorney or tell their story in a courtroom. This doesn't require a law degree. Best Katie. How many statements have we read where someone's like, oh, I want to, use my Spanish and my legal experience as a lawyer? It's like, you don't have to be a lawyer to do that.
Well, anyway, this is clearly a step in that direction, right? So it's not even like it's one or the other. It's, hey, why don't you start helping people right now? Quit whatever terrible job that is that you have and go start interpreting in your courts. I mean, it's kind of a sad story.
You'll learn a lot about the law.
I had a friend who was super into immigration and like asylum cases and volunteered in Oakland to help people, like help defend like defend people from deportation, essentially.
Hmm.
And she was devastated one day when her poor client, some guy from Guatemala, lost his case, basically got deported because the interpreter didn't show up.
Oh man.
Like, interpreter wasn't there. Poor guy had no way of telling his story to the court. Administrative official just says, yeah, you're denied, like, on the papers. There's nothing new here. Like, I'm not getting any new evidence out of this proceeding. See ya.
Boom.
And that's
Yeah.
that, so that's an example where someone who speaks Spanish and English could have just like absolutely saved the day for this guy and gotten paid, by the way. I think that was a like an hourly paid interpreter who just didn't get their shit together enough to show up. But
Sad story. Yeah, but
that's a super sad
there's
story,
the opportunities, right?
yeah. And my friend who like really wanted to help this person was grinding away at the JD to try to go be a lawyer to help people. She ended up never practicing law. She ended up accumulating a shit ton of debt and never practicing law. And instead, somebody with language skills could have just showed up and actually potentially helped this person.
Yeah.
Without worrying about the JD. Anyway, if any of these are ringing a bell, or you're like, that's not really the right word. If any of these are sounding of interest to you, we've got links on the show page for episode 274 for all of this stuff. And you can investigate these different ideas in your local jurisdiction. Again, to sum them up, DOJ accredited representative represents them on their immigration cases. Court Navigators is in civil law. You just like help people figure out how to navigate the whole court system. Investigator or mitigation specialists work for both prosecution and defense in criminal law. And then legal interpreters are probably, I would imagine, in every jurisdiction in demand, if you do have language skills that you think you could employ. So, for the whole purpose of this was for people who have really been grinding away on the LSAT for a long ass time and not finding any satisfaction. One of these things might be an alternative to the JD that you thought was necessary. Or even if it's not an alternative, it could be the kind of thing where you sort of put the JD on hold for a minute, improve your circumstances, quit your shitty job that you hate, go get one of these jobs where you feel like you're doing the kind of work that you actually want to do. Find out a little bit more what these systems are like, probably improve your English language skills. Any of these things has to be good for your LSAT score.
Yeah.
Because you're just going to be around lawyers and judges and courts and stuff using the kind of language that those types of people use in your everyday job. Get paid and kind of, make connections, and you're working your way toward a legal career. Maybe it does end up in a JD, but if it doesn't end up in a JD and you end up in a happy career situation doing any of these things, that's a huge win.
Totally.
I really appreciate Katie for putting this email together. Katie is one of our awesome teachers at LSATdemon.com. I'm blown away at how awesome our staff has been.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it, Katie. Thank you.
Thanks.